Expecting a full house again on day 3 of the Big East Women's Basketball Tournament from Mohegan Sun Arena in Uncasville, Connecticut. It's semifinal Sunday, and we have the top seeded UConn Huskies and the 5th seed Marquette Golden Eagles. A look at how we got here. UConn handling business wire to wire yesterday against Georgetown. Marquette eking out a close one against St. John's. The winner of this game will have the winner of Creighton-Villanova tomorrow on Finals Monday. Hello again, everybody. Matt Schumacher alongside Kim Adams. This is a rematch from a season series that was split 1-1. Marquette, one of just 2 teams to beat UConn in the conference this year.
Yeah, and this was just about a month ago. The first time the Golden Eagles have ever taken down UConn. This is a defensive-minded Marquette team. They held UConn to a season-low 52 points. It was the veterans, Jordan King, Chloe Murata. They would combine for 37 points. So this is a Marquette team that has done this before. They're coming in confidently, knowing that they've beaten the Huskies one time before this season.
It is worth noting that in that meeting, Azzi Fudd was not available. She is available today. We saw her for the first time since January 15th yesterday, and you were impressed.
Yes, huge applause for Azzi Fudd as she took the floor off the bench yesterday. She would play 16 minutes. She went on to get 10 points. It took a little bit of while to get her rhythm going, but then she really settled in. She knocked down 2 threes back-to-back in the second half that really got that rhythm going. She also had 4 assists. Gina Oriema loves what she brings on the defensive end of the floor as well. But watch out for Chloe Murata for Marquette. She had a monster second half after she had to sit much of the second quarter yesterday with foul trouble in a tight game against St. John. She would finish with an 18-point, 14-rebound double-double. Matt, 14 of her points coming in the second half. Watch out for Miss Murata.
Watch out for Marquette, trying to be just the first team in league play to beat UConn twice in the same season in a decade. Can they do it? We find out next. Tip-off from Mohegan Sun Arena just around the corner as we check in with the 3rd member of our team, Megan Caffrey.
Hey, Matt. Well, Caroline Ducharme will be available for the Huskies today. She didn't play in the entire second half of their quarterfinal game yesterday. Didn't take shoot-around earlier this morning, but was in for pregame warm-ups. And the Huskies are saying they are going to give her a go. Now, you have to remember, in their loss against Marquette, she did not play. However, in the Huskies' win against the Golden Eagles, well, she played 38 minutes and scored 19 points. A huge factor here for UConn.
No doubt, Megan, great stuff. And it looked like yesterday, Kim, Caroline might not be able to go today. She went down with a hard hit to the floor, got knocked in the head. Of course, she missed 13 games this year with a concussion. As we take a look at tonight's starting lineups sponsored by Jeep, there's only one. Same starting 5 for both teams that we saw yesterday in the quarterfinals. Who are a couple players that you're really looking at in this matchup tonight?
Well, for Marquette, to go along with Chloe Murata, it's been Jordan King, the senior guard, averaging about 16 points per game, 4 assists per game. And for UConn, Aaliyah Edwards had a monster game in the quarterfinals yesterday. The Big East most improved player, averaging 16 and 9 on the season. She's going to be a big part of this matchup because UConn has a lot more size than Marquette.
That was one of the things that Marquette head coach Megan Duffy pointed out when we chatted with her earlier this morning. She felt like they did a really good job in the meeting back in February that they won, keeping UConn's post players out of the paint. That's a key for Megan Duffy's team today as they try to do something that hasn't been done in a decade, and that is beat UConn twice in the same season. And the Huskies control the tip. A little excitement on the jump.
How about this crowd? UConn fans rolling deep. They've been here for hours.
Lopez Seneschal gets them started.
And that's just embodies what she's been all season. Steady. Just gets them off on the right tone. A nice calm mid-range pull-up for Lou.
A unanimous first-team selection. And her first and only season transferring over from Fairfield. Dumped down to Carlin, and she puts it off the window.
Yeah, great high-low look from Chloe Murata at the top. Liza Carlin did have a bit of a miss mismatch inside, able to get that position and have the seal for the lob.
Here is Dorka Juhas, the second-year Ohio State transfer. Jordan King. Out to LaChapelle. And the rebound to Aaliyah Edwards. As you referenced, the Big East most improved player of the year this season. Has made a terrific impact on a team that has really been playing shorthanded for most of the season. Lopez Seneschal, that's a three.
And she's such a versatile scorer. We're seeing that in her opening 2 buckets. A mid-range pull-up and then dialing it up from 3, running off the screen with effectiveness.
And an offensive foul gives it back to UConn. Gino Auriemma told us and gave us a little bit of insight into what it's like coaching and playing for a UConn team. That he said, you lose 1 game and it's shocking. You lose 2 games, it's earth-shattering. That's a lot of pressure to play with night in and night out.
Yeah, I mean, this is a little bit of a different season, but you still consider they're 26-5. They win the Big East. It's just been so rare for them in recent years to lose a game, let alone a conference game. But I heard Megan Duffy say it in her post-game yesterday. Everybody knows that UConn is a different team once the calendar switches to March.
Juhas step through. They're also a different team when they have 10 active players, right? And this is, if Ducharme plays, just the 3rd time all year that they'll have 10 active for a game.
Yesterday was the first time since the season opener against Texas back in November.
Here's Jordan King. And off the mark. Nika Mule. Back-to-back defensive player of the year and left it short.
Back-to-back possessions, Matt. You're seeing the size of UConn, where Marquette guards have been able to get into the paint, deep in the paint, but they're being met with high hands and a lot of size.
Aaliyah Edwards, one of those with size at 6'3", and a timeout taken by Megan Duffy. A 7-0 UConn run. And the top seed in the tournament playing like it here early on semifinal Sunday. Taking you back to semifinal Sunday in the Big East Women's Basketball Tournament. A 7-0 run for the UConn Huskies in a matchup that was split in the regular season. Marquette won their game at home, first time ever beating UConn in program history. And then the Huskies took care of business in the first meeting in Connecticut. And it was interesting. We had a chance to talk with Megan Duffy before the game today, and she said, listen, we know this is going to be like a home game for UConn with all of the UConn fans. We have to be able to sustain the big waves, the big runs. This is a pivotal point early in the game for Marquette.
Yeah, and that's why she was forced to call that timeout before the under-5 media timeout. We saw AZ Fudd on the bench. She will likely check in here at some point, but good to note that she was not available for that Marquette win a couple of weeks ago.
And neither was Caroline Ducharme, who our Megan Caffrey reported is available and on the bench tonight for UConn. There is Caroline Ducharme. Went down midway through the quarterfinal win over Georgetown yesterday. And a much-needed bucket for the freshman. LaChapelle, the first bucket in almost 3 minutes for Marquette.
Yeah, and it's great to get Emily LaChapelle going. She only had 2 points in the quarterfinal win yesterday. She's a unanimous Big East all-freshman team member, so good to get her feeling confident early on in this game.
Rebound Edwards. Make a mule. And Chloe Murata picks up the defensive rebound. She has yet to take a shot in this game.
Yeah, we're seeing the impact of the bigs. Now the perimeter players. Aubrey Griffin on the steal.
And then Edwards spinning to the bucket is Murata. was left in the dust.
And this is the same aggression we saw from Aaliyah Edwards in the quarterfinals yesterday. She attacked her matchups, she looks for her buckets, and she really got on the glass.
Coming off her 12th double-double of the season at 19 points, 13 rebounds. And a travel goes against Jordan King.
And that was a turnover. Here's another one, just ball pressure, a bit of an errant pass right there, but you cannot have live ball turnovers against this UConn team, who's maybe the best I've seen, or one of the best in transition in the open floor, especially Aubrey Griffin, so long and athletic. Ball protection paramount, and back-to-back TOs for the Golden Eagles.
They now have 3 in the first quarter. Uhas left open. And a lot of fights for the rebound. King, floater was short. And here comes Nika Mule. Edwards. One of the things that both coaches talked about was the physicality in each of the 2 games that these teams played in the regular season. And Gino Auriemma felt like his team didn't respond well to the physicality of Marquette in their February loss.
Yeah, Marquette, as they turn it over again, but they're a team that's known for toughness and grit, defense and rebounding. They are undersized in this matchup, so they're going to have to bring the physicality and some strategy on the defensive end as well.
On another 2-minute scoring drought. And Nkumu promptly ends that with a 3, the first of the game for the Golden Eagles.
And it would greatly benefit Marquette to get some things going from the perimeter because of the size that's waiting on penetration in the paint with Uhas and Edwards. That'll get them to open things up and space the floor.
Aubrey Griffin. Uhas on a drive, using her body to muscle Liza Carlin out of the way.
Yeah, she's really embraced the versatility, her skill set this season at 6'5". Somebody who can shoot the 3, somebody who can take it off the dribble as she did there. Not a lot of players can have that combination of skill and size.
Carlin pops out and drills it from the free throw line.
Great adjustment from Jordan King, who had gone in deep in the paint, had her shot altered earlier in the quarter, but that time comes to a jump stop and finds somebody open after the collapsed defense.
Edwards scoops it up and in.
We just talked about Dorka Uhas' ability to take it off the bounce. How about that explosiveness from Aaliyah Edwards? Gino Auriemma post-game yesterday talking about how her fitness level is so much more improved this season.
Nika Mule, blow by and draws a foul. 2 shots coming for the all-time assist leader in a single season for UConn.
And right now for Marquette, it is just way too easy for UConn players to get to the basket, as we see AZ Fudd coming off the bench again. Another loud applause from the fans, her 2nd game back since mid-January. But it's just been blow-bys for UConn, from the guards, from the post players. That initial line of defense, the one-on-one matchup has to be better.
And what a season for Nika Mule. Broke Sue Bird's record that stood for 2 decades for assists in a single season. Actually got a FaceTime from Sue Bird out of the blue. Nika Mule said, "I usually don't answer unknown FaceTime calls, but I'm glad I answered that one."
Oh, wow. She didn't even have the number stored. That was a risk, but a pretty good reward on the other end. But, yeah, she's really embraced this starting point guard role. Obviously didn't know she'd be playing it until Paige Beckers was ruled out for the season. And she has been fantastic at the point spot.
Zips it into Edwards. Too easy, but rolled out. And a foul against Edwards will give it back to Marquette.
And we just spoke about the ease at which players are getting by Marquette off the dribble. It's too easy right now for Aaliyah Edwards to catch it in the paint. She didn't get the finish, but there has to be more coverage around her. This is a tough matchup one-on-one for Chloe Murata, undersized, so they're going to have to think about what they want to do in terms of sending a double or sending a little bit of help.
That was a concern for Megan Duffy coming into this game. The size differential in the post. Carlin pops out and puts in a three.
Beautiful offensive set. Liza Carlin, another one of the players. Not as much size as UConn and Edwards, but somebody who can play inside out for Marquette.
Averaging 17 points per game over the last 4. Has really come on strong at the back end of this season as UConn tries a triple and hits. How about that for a response?
What a threat on the floor to have a 6'5" player that can confidently step out and take a three when the defense isn't tight.
Murata, just her second field goal attempt of the first quarter.
And that's typically a set that is pretty successful for them, the ball screen with King and Murata.
Mule lost the handle. 10 on the timer and scooped away by King. Picked off by Fudd. Carlin scoops it. There was not a change of possession there, so 8 on the timer. Hare, fade away. And the shot clock turned off to end the quarter. AZ Fudd. Second game back since January 15th. 1 second. And a well-defended set to close the quarter by Marquette. Doing their best to sustain the wave that UConn brought in the opening frame.
Yeah, UConn, though, so many weapons offensively. Aaliyah Edwards off to a hot start with 6 points in this one.
An 8-point lead for the top seed in the tournament. UConn over Marquette. 20-12. Very efficient in the first half as we take a look at the shot tracker from the first quarter. Points in the paint is something you mentioned, and Aaliyah Edwards getting good looks around the rim.
Yeah, I'm looking right in that middle area, right under the rim, where UConn has attempted more than half of their field goal, or almost half of their field goal attempts. They're 4 of 7 on the interior. They have 8 points in the paint. And how about this shot tracker? We are at the forefront of technology here at the Big East Women's Basketball Tournament.
On the other side for Marquette, 4 turnovers, 12 points, and Chloe Murata, their second leading scorer, has yet to make a field goal, Kim. She's 0 for 2 in the first quarter. She had 19 points in their win over UConn the last time they played. What do you want to see to get her going a little bit more?
Well, yesterday, Chloe, and really all season long, she's found success in that mid-range area. She keeps things simple. She has a simple turnaround jumper. I think that's where she's going to have to do a lot of her production today and stay out of the paint a little bit. You see Aaliyah Edwards is matched up with her. She's going to have to get some space.
And an offensive foul gives it back to UConn. This is a Marquette team that has won 10 of its last 12, including a win over UConn. And that is 2 fouls on Murata, so she will head to the bench.
And it's very similar to what they had yesterday. Chloe Murata picked up her second foul early in the second quarter in the quarterfinals against St. John's. Had to miss really the entire second quarter, so another big blow for the Golden Eagles.
Forced Megan Duffy to go with a tighter rotation than she would have liked. Edwards spinning it down.
ridiculous. We didn't see that from Leah Edwards last season. The confidence to even attempt that move, let alone execute it with perfect footwork and speed.
The conference's most improved player. Leads all scorers with 8 points, picks up another rebound. That's her fourth. Fudd on the kick out. Marquette in some need of a little bit of offense here. Down 10. And shooting less than 36% from the floor.
And everything is contested right now for Marquette.
Uncontested three buried by Lopez Seneschal.
And what's hurting Marquette right now is they can't stop UConn on the inside. They can't stop them on the perimeter. You have to really commit to trying to stop or limit one of those two areas. You can't give them both.
Jordan King now 0 for 4. And to your point, every one of her shots, she's had a hand in her face. And a foul underneath. It goes against Kennedy Miles.
How about the half that Aaliyah Edwards has started off with? Right to left, spin cycle. So quick, not a lot of forwards have that agility and mobility. Aaliyah Edwards up to 8 points. But Lou Lopez Seneschal is matching her teammate as well. She's 2 of 3 from deep. What an impact Lopez Seneschal has had for the Huskies in just 1 year. A graduate transfer from mid-major Fairfield University.
And now a good sight for UConn fans. Caroline Ducharme on the floor, wearing 33 in white. Foul underneath. The basket won't count. It'll stay with UConn. Foul against Marquette, their second of the quarter. Ducharme is somebody that has dealt with injuries really since she stepped on campus. Played all of her freshman year with a hip injury, had surgery in April, rehabbed all summer as she's whistled for the travel. And the plan this year, Kim, coming in was to ease her back into things. But then the injuries started coming around here. Of course, Ice Brady out for the season with a knee injury. Paige Becker's out for the season with a knee injury. And then Azzi Fudd missing 22 of the 24 games coming into the tournament. Forced Ducharme to play more than they anticipated.
Yeah, it's really been 2 straight seasons like this for UConn where people are coming in and out of the lineup. People are getting back, but it's forcing other players to have to step up in different roles.
Second chance here for Marquette. King knocks down her first. A deep 3 for the Big East first teamer.
Now Jordan King can shoot it from deep, 37% on the season. That was a good read. Players staying under the ball screen. And she took the simple pull-up.
Uhas. And scooped up by the freshman Mackenzie Hare. A pair of freshmen on the floor right now for Megan Duffy and Hare and La Chapelle. And a tie-up jump ball gives it back to UConn.
Megan Duffy having to play some reserves in this big-time spot. That was Micaiah Williams, just a sophomore, only plays about 10 minutes per game, and just very sped up right now. A lot of this Marquette offense really they haven't acclimated yet to the pressure and the size and double teams that are coming. And Marquette only had to use a total of 19 bench minutes in that quarterfinal win yesterday. Different case here to start this semifinal game.
Chloe Murata on the bench with 2 fouls. Fudd at 3. And the rebound, Griffin. Fudd creating space. Ducharme trying to save it. Instead, Marquette basketball. And to your point, Kim, about this Marquette team going deep into the bench early in this game. They only played 7 players yesterday. Kennedy Miles and Mackenzie Hare, the only 2 who came in off the bench. Micaiah Williams getting her first minutes of the tournament, and we're still 6 minutes left in the first half.
Yeah, and it's a big spot to come in with a heavy UConn crowd here, the top seed, and UConn playing very well, applying a ton of pressure on the defensive end.
King with 5. King, offensive foul.
How about the center? Aaliyah Edwards, you've been praising her on the offensive end. But the center, moving laterally, we mentioned her mobility, her agility. Keeping herself in front of Jordan King, one of the quickest point guards in the league. What hasn't Aaliyah Edwards done early in this game?
Already 6 turnovers for a Marquette team that averages less than 13 a game. And right back the other way, an offensive foul. It goes against Nika Mule.
Gino not too pleased. Hard to please Gino.
Well, he challenged his players, himself, and his staff after a win to close out the regular season against Xavier.
That's how you get over 1,000 career wins, I guess. You're never satisfied.
Hare rattles in a triple.
Mackenzie Hare, another freshman named to the Big East All-Freshman team. One of their best threats from deep. She's had a couple games where she's really gotten hot from that point of the floor.
Megan Duffy said her and LaChapelle, the 2 freshmen, played a little bit timid in the first game of the Big East tournament. Travels, so back-to-back trips with a turnover for UConn. She was hoping, Megan Duffy, to see her freshmen step back into playing within themselves here in day 2 for them.
Yeah, it certainly seems like they've settled in a bit, and so too has Marquette on the defensive end. We're seeing a lot more activity and ball pressure, making UConn feel a bit more uncomfortable than they were to start the game. Now can they find and generate some more offense, especially with Chloe Murata on the bench with 2 fouls.
LaChapelle, backdoor, Carlin with the reverse.
Carlin has really moved well without the basketball. Now a couple of times she's snuck behind the defense and gotten a steal.
An 8-0 Marquette run. The ball will stay on this side with UConn. And a timeout on the floor. Marquette with life.
An 8-0 run for the Golden Eagles. Liza Carlin scooping it up.
Welcome back inside Mohegan Sun. Coming up on the Jeep Halftime Report, we'll have first half stats and highlights, and we'll preview tonight's matchup between Creighton and Villanova. The winner of this game gets the winner of that game tomorrow in our Big East Tournament Final. Meanwhile, here in semifinal number 1, Marquette trailed by as many as 13 in this first half. They've gone an 8-0 run. And to your point, defensively, Kim, they've held this UConn team scoreless over the last 4 minutes.
Yeah, there's been an adjustment on this end of the floor. UConn just 2 of 7 from the field to start this second quarter. And this is a Marquette team as Dorka Juhas finally ends that spell. But this is a Marquette team, regardless of what's going on offensively, has always been able to rely on their defense. And we saw Megan Duffy fired up heading into that last timeout, knowing her team is starting to bring things on that end.
A kick ball. Give it to Marquette underneath with 20 on the timer. 4:20 to play in the first half. Marquette winners of 10 of their last 12. During that stretch, they've given up less than 53 points per game, holding 5 teams to the 40s. And picked off by Aubrey Griffin. Having a terrific first half. Scooping loose balls, creating turnovers defensively.
She really can do some special things. It was like that ball was just a magnet into her hands.
6'1", plays a lot bigger than that. Lopez Seneschal zips it to Edwards, who pays it off. And Edwards in double figures with 10.
Edwards continues to assert herself, going up strong and with 100%. As Marquette gets called for another moving screen. And this is defense to offense for UConn. You cannot give away live ball turnovers. Aubrey Griffin, one of the best in the nation, going defense to offense. The wraparound pass from Lopez Seneschal over to Aaliyah Edwards, who's already up to 10 points. I've been so impressed with the aggression, the approach she has come out with.
And now some foul trouble. Chloe Murata called for her third. Back on the floor for maybe 5 seconds and picks up her third foul. Meanwhile, Liza Carlin picked up her second, went to the bench. Now she's going to have to come back on for Murata.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough one. That's how Murata plays, diving after loose balls. A tough whistle. Coach Duffy taking a gamble, putting her back in, needing that defense, needing some offense, needing some size against Edwards. And just a really frustrating situation for Chloe Murata, right back to the bench.
You had to take that gamble, right? She scored in double figures in 10 straight with 4 double-doubles.
And I think it's really more about defending Edwards, who's just having a field day inside right now. Chloe Murata, their best interior defender. And you could tell, oof, she's not happy.
The lone graduating senior on this Marquette team in her 5th year. First time being named to the All-Big East first team. As Lopez Seneschal makes them both. And just like that, it's back to an 11-point UConn lead. 6-0 run for the Huskies over the last 57 seconds. Carlin hits a deep 2. 11 points on 5 of 5.
Yeah, she's been the steadying force for them, the player they can rely on. Hasn't missed a shot, but they're going to need some other pieces to step up. Everything rolling for UConn. The scoring balance has been impressive.
LaChapelle had a shot altered by Edwards, and the 6'3" frame of the junior from Ontario, and now they give it down to her.
It is Aaliyah Edwards afternoon right now, taking no prisoners, not settling. She has her teammates fired up. She has this crowd fired up. And I love just the stoic face. There's no celebrating. It's right back to work.
Gino Auriemma told us this morning that he has challenged her in the month of February. She has to run harder, rebound harder, defend harder than anyone else on the floor, because that is her edge, her motor. As it poked away by Carlin. Here comes King. Almost walked, and a tie-up will keep it on this side of the floor.
And the ball pressure for UConn, Matt, is just relentless. They're everywhere. You can't get any separation. A foul is called there.
So it wasn't a tie-up, it was a foul, and that's part of why Gino is a little bit upset. First foul on Aubrey Griffin. UConn in the bonus the rest of the way in this half. Still 3 fouls to give, and an offensive foul against Marquette. We'll give it right back to UConn. That is the 10th Marquette turnover.
And I believe it's, at a minimum, it's the 3rd moving screen that Marquette has been whistled for. Yeah, Micaiah Williams, you can tell, just extending those arms. You obviously have to be perfectly still when setting a screen, especially if you've already been whistled for it twice in the game.
Rebound Griffin, put back, yes, and the foul.
He's back. There's our guy. Aubrey Griffin, I think such an underrated piece of this UConn Huskies team. The athleticism, skying up for the board. The tough finish, so many stars on this team, but it's often Aubrey Griffin doing the dirty work, maybe not always getting the recognition, the accolades, the stat sheet categories, but she is so integral to what this team can do and the potential they have in the postseason.
As her top-seeded Huskies on a 12-2 run with their largest lead of the game at 15. Chloe Murata on the bench with 3 fouls. Liza Carlin playing with 2 for Marquette. And Jordan King is really yet to get going in this game. Looking for a bucket. Rebound Carlin, tapped away by Edwards. And the rebound UConn.
And how about the 2 parts to that defense? Starting with Nika Mule, the defensive player of the year in the conference, really making it tough for King to get in front. When she does, it's Aaliyah Edwards meeting her outside of the paint.
Offensive foul drawn by the freshman, Mackenzie Hare. And it goes against Griffin, her second.
And here's that defense. You see Aaliyah Edwards coming outside of the paint, meeting Jordan King with a high hand, and then finishing it off with the rebound, even after giving up the second attempt to Marquette.
What do you want to see here offensively for Marquette? They could go 2 for 1 if they go quickly.
Yeah, I think right now just focus on getting a solid possession. Liza Carlin has really been the constant for them. Let's see if they can isolate something for her to get to the basket.
Here she is, rejected by UConn.
This team is really tough defensively when they are dialed in. That's a bucket that Liza Carlin would probably get against any other opponent in the Big East. But Dorka Juhas, Aaliyah Edwards, those 2 have been problematic on the interior.
And the size differential too. Juhas at 6'5", Carlin at 6'2", Juhas with the rebound. The Huskies can effectively hold for the final shot of the half here. Edwards with 10. Now Fudd. Juhas last touched it for UConn. And it goes back to Marquette. 2.7 to play.
Of note here, though, Jordan King, the point guard, is on the bench. Rosen Kumo, though, a pretty quick player. Let's see if she can get something up quickly.
And Kumo with 1. And Kumo left it short. And the Huskies end the first half on a 12-2 run.
And it's just been dominance, really, all around for UConn. The offense has been impressive. The defense has been pretty exceptional at most points. Aaliyah Edwards has been unbelievable. 6 of 9 from the floor, 12 points, 4 rebounds. And it's just not stopped working in this first half. Let's send it over to Megan Caffrey and Gino Ariello.
Thanks, Matt. Coach, 20 points in the paint for your team in the first half. How are you taking advantage of the size difference there?
Well, as we talked about earlier, you know, they're very physical in the lane, and they make it hard for you to get anything easy in there. And I think since we got Lou and AZ, you know, even if AZ hasn't shot the ball well, the floor spreads out a little bit, so they have a little more room. And to be honest with you, Dorka and Aaliyah are just working really, really hard. I mean, that's the best I can say. That's the best half of basketball I've seen Dorka play, and Aaliyah's playing great defense. So I just think they're really locked in. Now if we can just get a couple more of those outside shots to drop. But, you know, the second half, you know, this time of the year, a really good team like that, they're not going to stay down very long.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Coach. Wow, high praise. Dorka Juhas, best half of the season. She had 9 and 9, and Aaliyah Edwards was terrific as well.
When Gino gives you a compliment, you run with it. We know he doesn't just hand those out, but he mentioned the incredible defensive performance for Aaliyah Edwards. She's also gotten it done on the offensive end. Really the only constant for Marquette has been Liza Carlin. 11 points, has only missed 1 shot. Remember, there's second leading scorer, Chloe Murata, missing much of that first half with foul trouble, but Liza Carlin has kept them afloat.
Marquette's top 2 leading scorers, a combined 1 for 9 in the first half. Can the Golden Eagles find something in the second, or will UConn roll to the final? Stick around and find out. UConn up 15 at the break. Golden Eagles held scoreless in the final 3.5 minutes of the first half. Their head coach chatted with Megan Caffrey at the break.
Yeah, thanks so much, Matt. Well, Coach Duffy did point out Chloe being on the bench, saying when she did get that third foul, it kind of frustrated the team a little bit. You could see Jordan King was doing too much, so Coach Duffy was stressing to her team to settle down. She liked how they were playing middle of the second quarter and wants to see that replicated here to kick off the half.
Yeah, Megan, I mean, they cut this game to a 5-point deficit. Went on an 8-0 run during that stretch that Megan referenced early in that second quarter. Chloe Murata, though, only played 15 seconds in the second quarter, and now she's in to start the second half with 3 fouls.
And I think the silver lining in this situation for Marquette is they were in this exact situation yesterday against St. John's. Chloe Murata came back and had a big-time second half, and the freshman Emily LaChapelle with the pretty mid-range to get some momentum out of the locker room.
That ends a 3.5-minute scoring drought dating back to the end of the first half. Juhas was fouled on the entry pass, and I believe that'll be the third on Liza Carlin, and it is.
And here's Emily LaChapelle, just fundamental ball fake, one dribble, pull up into space, nice decision, sinks it, but is concerning. Liza Carlin now having to come out of the game with 3 fouls, both of their best post defenders with 3. Lou Lopez Seneschal picking right back up. How smooth is she?
As smooth as the crowd cheering Lou after every made shot by Lopez Seneschal. The transfer from Fairfield, you talked about it in the first half. Really coming onto the national scene out of nowhere for everyone outside of this UConn program. Nobody had really heard of her. She was the MAC Player of the Year last year. Gino Auriemma said, though, she belongs at this level, and she's showing it.
And she's taken on such a greater role. Dorka Juhas back to doing her thing on the offensive glass. But when Lou Lopez Seneschal came here, she thought she would just be another piece.
Buell, pick 6, and a timeout, Megan Duffy.
We'll have to get back to that thought, because the UConn Huskies have come out of the gates firing. Defense, offense. They've opened up a big one here at Mohegan Sun.
UConn on a 6-0 run, 3 scores in double figures, led by Aaliyah Edwards and Lou Lopez Seneschal.
Smooth Lou, that's what I'm calling her from now on. Smooth Lou has 12 points in this game, 4 of 9 from the floor. What I love about her performance today, Matt, is she's a lethal 3-point shooter, 43% from deep, as you see it there, but she hasn't settled for threes. She's taken it off the bounce. She's been effective in the mid-range. How about that dish over to Aaliyah Edwards? That's that mid-range game where she just pulls up on a dime, the high release point, and we're gonna head back to this shot chart powered by Shot Tracker, and you see that inside the 3-point line area, that's where she's taken and made a lot of her looks. She has gotten a 3 from either wing. 44% shooting for Lou Lopez Seneschal.
Well, you heard Gino Auriemma talk about it with Megan going to the halftime break. He loves what they've been able to do in the paint. They've outscored Marquette 24-6 in the second half. He wants to see a little bit more perimeter scoring. Certainly, Smooth Lou gives him a little bit of that.
And you're really seeing the dangerous balance that UConn possesses today with the inside-out game. Everybody is clicking.
Kang knocks it in, a deep 2. Just her second made bucket of the contest.
And they would love to get her going. Matt, off the top, we talked about King and Murata had 37 points in that win over UConn about a month ago. They've been held pretty much at bay. this afternoon.
Those two have combined for 5 points. Marana still scoreless as Griffin drills a three.
And that's not high up on the list of what Aubrey Griffin typically does, knocking down threes. So if they could get her going as well from the perimeter, I mean, keep piling on the weapons for this Huskies team.
Home run pass to Uhas. Lopez Seneschal right to the basket, knifing through the defense.
Dorky Uhas owes Nika Mule a milkshake or something for blowing that assist. She's got to keep those rates up. She's second in the nation.
Here is Nika Mule. Blow by, yes sir! And the clock stopped momentarily because Lou Lopez Seneschal is doubled over at midcourt. It almost looks like she had the wind knocked out of her a little bit. Training staff coming over, as is Gino Auriemma. I think this UConn team, this fan base, on edge a little bit anytime they see a player doubled over on the ground, play stopped. This team has had so many injuries this year. Here's another look at it.
Yeah, we're looking at 11 in white, top left of the screen. She may have taken some contact before this moment. So hopefully a minimal injury as Mackenzie Hare knocks down a three.
The good news for UConn is Lopez Seneschal still on the bench, and Aaliyah Edwards continues her dominant performance, 7 of 10 from the floor with 14. And wins it back for UConn. There is Lopez Seneschal. 14 points for her tonight in 18 minutes. Griffin, nifty.
She's as athletic as it comes in women's college basketball. Say all of college basketball. The explosiveness, the length. And that's a year removed from having a back surgery and missing all of last season.
Three seconds. King had to force it. That's been the story of the day for Marquette's offense. Foul underneath. It'll stay with the Golden Eagles.
Aubrey Griffin, 7 points. Explosive finish right through the paint, opposite side. And this is a basketball family through and through. Her brother AJ Griffin played for Duke, is now in the NBA with the Atlanta Hawks. Their dad, Adrian Sr. with the Toronto Raptors.
A rejection. Edwards swats it from Murata. I'd be remiss if I also didn't mention Aubrey's mom. Audrey was an All-American in track and field at Seton Hall. So she comes from a long lineage of very athletic people in her family.
Yeah, we know it all comes from the mom. I mean,
oh, no doubt.
Both parents, Seton Hall athletes, keeping it in the Big East.
Now tonight, Griffin has 7 points, 6 rebounds, 4 steals, and 3 assists.
Absurd line with still a quarter and a half to play.
Yeah.
And I do have to shout out She's from Ossining High School in my neck of the woods. They were big rivals of us. Westchester, New York.
Murata's first bucket of the game. She had 19 in the win against UConn back in February. Relegated to just 15 seconds on the floor in the second quarter because of 3 fouls.
And that short corner is the spot where she can really get it going. She was effective from there yesterday in the quarterfinals. Griffin with another board.
Edwards. And walked. UConn shooting 51% from the floor. And they have 3 players in double figures, led by Edwards and Lopez Seneschal. All Huskies in the semifinal. Big lead for the UConn Huskies and the UConn faithful, even the young ones in attendance tonight, enjoying this show by the Huskies. Already 54 points. And look no further than Aaliyah Edwards, who's just been dominant in the post tonight.
Dominance, you mentioned the motor. It's been 100% effort in every small detail, every finish, the explosiveness, the ability to blow by a defender, create space for herself. Coming off of this nice dish from Lou Lopez Seneschal, 14 points, 6 boards, 7 of 11 from the floor. She has had a really impressive performance yesterday, has come out with that same energy today, has been unstoppable.
And she's helped this UConn team outscore Marquette 32-6 in the paint. And defensively, they've continued to frustrate Murata and King, who have combined for far less than they scored in the first win against this program back in February, as Azzi Fudd is on the board here in the third quarter. King the board. She and Murata have combined for just 7 points. They had 37 in the win in February against UConn. Nkumu. Carlin back on the floor with 3 fouls. She has been the bright spot for the Golden Eagles.
And they were able to get that bucket because they pushed it a little bit, played with some tempo, did not allow UConn to set up in that big half-court defense. I think that's something they need to look to do more of.
Edwards draws a foul against Murata. 2 shots coming. Edwards a little bit slow to get up here. And that is the 4th on Chloe Murata.
She has not stopped driving. I think that's a tough 4th whistle on Chloe Murata, who, because she has 3, isn't defending as aggressively as she normally would. I thought she was straight up trying to get out of the way. A tough whistle, in my opinion, for the 4th for Murata, who's just had a frustrating game of coming in and heading back to the bench with foul trouble.
2 points, 4 fouls, 17 minutes for a player who is averaging a double-double and is on the Big East All-First team. And this note says it all. She and King combined for 34 points in the quarterfinal yesterday. A win over St. John's. And today just 7 points.
And I give so much credit to this UConn defense that is really engaged today from 1 to 5. Players coming in off the bench. I mean, look at the ball pressure here from Fudd, from Griffin, the double team. It's been nonstop action.
And the length of UConn as well defensively has seemingly really disrupted this Marquette team, who is undersized this afternoon. 5 seconds, hair stripped. Griffin, credit her for another steal. Inside to Uhas. Had it tapped out of bounds by Carlin. They'll stay with the Huskies. Winner of this game will get the winner of our second semifinal, Creighton Villanova. It tips off just after 5:30 right here on FS1. Huskies in search of their 29th consecutive conference tournament victory. And Edwards back to the free throw line.
And I love the spacing that UConn is playing with. They're keeping Edwards on the inside and keeping 4 other players far removed out on the perimeter. It's what allowed Nika Mule to get to the block, to kick out to Griffin, and then to have a one-on-one post-up for Aaliyah Edwards as we take a look at why she was named the most improved player in the conference this week, just about doubling her scoring. And what a showing she's had at this tournament thus far.
And part of it too, Kim, she was really challenged to step up into this bigger role because of the injuries to Ducharme and Fudd and Beckers. Everybody was sort of looking around wondering where's the scoring going to come from, and she stepped up and answered the call. Carlin got her miss. Edwards a rebound shy of another double-double. Mule short, there it is. Another double-double for Edwards, but she's whistled for the offensive.
Gino not pleased. But you have to love the continued aggression. I'd say that was probably the right call.
13th double-double of the year.
And Matt, we talk about the improvements. In her first 2 seasons, she had just 3 double-doubles, 2 years combined. Now 13 on this one season.
Murata, great rebound and draws a foul to boot. It goes against Mule.
And Chloe Murata again back in. Megan Duffy has gambled with it a couple times, but obviously your life is on the line here for the tournament. She's going to ride with her senior with 4 fouls. It could have been a 5th right there. It was kind of a 50-50 shot there.
But to your point, that's just how she plays. She's always been a hustle player and has become one of the premier scorers this season in the Big East Conference as well. King on the drive, sent out of bounds by Griffin.
Just another display of her athleticism. Almost purposely letting Jordan King get half a step in front of her so that she can come from behind and block it without her body getting in the way to foul.
Juhas, the 5th block for UConn this afternoon.
Is it just me, or is this team looking very scary right now?
It's not just you.
It just seems like Marquette is a great team. Marquette is a team that's likely going to be in the NCAA tournament.
They should be. Right now, Autumn Johnson has them on the 11 line. They are top 45 in the net. They have beaten UConn. They have beaten Texas. And they have 22 wins and 13 in the Big East regular season. This is a team worthy of an NCAA tournament bid.
Absolutely, and my point here is that UConn is just blowing them out of the water right now. That's how good UConn looks against a very solid Marquette team that beat them just 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Counted and one. Juhas, a chance at the 3-piece.
Gino praised her first half. She's keeping things rolling here in the second. Juhas and Edwards off the dribble has been so impressive today.
Gino Auriemma told you something going into this tournament, and he said our success in March will not hinge on the guards, but on the play of Aaliyah Edwards and Dorka Juhas.
He said that, and I've never really heard a coach say that about postseason. Me personally, I always think it's in the hands of the guards to get you going, but for him, he said it's always been about the forwards, and these two have really answered the call.
Juhas a double-double. Edwards a double-double. Final 10 seconds of the quarter. Five seconds. Mule at midcourt. (61-36) all Huskies. As we head into the final frame, the winner advances to the final tomorrow night to take on the winner of Creighton Villanova later this evening. Maybe more so in recent years, there's a little bit more international flavor for this UConn Huskies team. Players from all over, not just this country, but the world. Europe, Canada, everybody's represented. Portugal, everybody's represented on this UConn team. Megan Caffrey was joking with Gino Auriemma earlier today. Does anybody ever cook for you on the team? He's like, no, they handle it themselves. They'll actually do international days where they'll all cook for each other with their native meals.
I was just thinking this, like, let me get in on this potluck dinner. I need to try all of this flavor, but just about everybody on that list is bringing nothing but buckets today. It's been an impressive group for these international players. 3 of them on the floor right now. Leah Edwards getting a rest, representing Canada.
Inside to Griffin, draws a foul, headed to the free throw line. Marquette has yet to take a free throw attempt in this game. UConn has just swarmed them since the tip defensively and doing it without fouling. You know, back to that point about the international players. We asked Gino, why do you think you have more internationals this year than maybe in years past? Part of it is the transfer portal, right? Players like Dorka Juhas, Lou Lopez Seneschal, coming from a different program first. The other part of it, which I thought was interesting, there's more exposure of the American game to these countries overseas now more than ever, and more internationals want to come play collegiately here in the States.
That's really interesting. And you have to think, you know, as a coach, going on a recruiting trip to Croatia isn't the worst thing in the world either.
Doesn't sound too bad.
I mean, sign me up for that.
Go visit
France action.
Nika Mule in Zagreb, then
take Lou Lopez to the Eiffel Tower.
Wine country. Maybe we should book a trip. Here's Nkumu, slips it past Dorka Juhas. Not something many people have been able to do tonight. 5 blocks for this UConn Huskies defense. A cutting Ducharme. Yes! Off the window. After missing the second half yesterday with an apparent injury, back on the floor for UConn.
Yeah, great to see her back out there. I'm sure a little bit of a sense of relief just to get that rhythm and that bucket after going down hard yesterday.
Murata off the bounce. And really struggled to get around the outstretched arms of the 6'3" Griffin.
What an elite defender she is. Her combination of size, skill, athleticism, length.
Mule, count it, and one.
The UConn Huskies are just pouring it on at this point. When it's not somebody scoring or making a big defensive play, it's another. Nika Mule, we know her for her ability to assist, but she's really been able to attack and find pockets in this Marquette defense. And she's always fired up. Look at the connectivity of this group. It seems like it's on another level today.
I was just going to ask you about that. Their largest lead now at 30. What do you think it is, Kim? Because you mentioned it going to break after the third quarter, that there's something different about this UConn team tonight.
Well, there's no doubt about it. It's a fact that this team was really beat up in recent weeks because of the injuries and how many minutes people have had to play. And in no way was Gino using that as an excuse, but it's just a reality that these players' bodies and minds were exhausted. So they finally have a couple pieces back now to even get some blows. And they had a week or so off between their last game and now the postseason. And this is a team that knows how to win in March. And you're seeing that reflected in their first 2 games.
And you're seeing it reflected with what they have done in the paint tonight through Edwards and Juhas. Seneschal. Edwards the offensive rebound. Finally cleared away by Murata. I think, too, you can't underestimate the presence of Azzi Fudd back on the floor. Played yesterday for the first time since January the 15th. And this is just the 3rd game all year that they've had 10 active players, UConn. Certainly that has to help with your confidence.
Sure, and Azzi Fudd's the type of player that as a teammate, when she's on the floor, you just feel a bit calmer because you know what she's going to do.
Offensive foul goes against Nika Mule. There is Azzi Fudd.
They haven't had to rely on her too much today. 16 minutes, just 2 points.
She was terrific before that initial knee injury. Averaged 24 points per game in the first 6, including 32 in back-to-back games against Texas and North Carolina State.
Yeah, I was working both of those games, and at that point she was looking like she was on to have a National Player of the Year type of season. So unfortunate injuries, but we'll see just how much of her they can get back in March.
It's not unlike what happened last year with Paige Bueckers, right? She missed so much of the year, came back right at the end of the regular season, got her feet under her in the tournament, in the Big East tournament, and then really came alive, helping this team to yet another Final Four last season.
And I'm sure Azzi is going to Paige, 2 good friends, and saying, how did you handle this last season? Unfortunate that they both have to deal with it, but you do have somebody you can lean on to figure out how to navigate this.
Edwards. Short, and a foul will go against the junior. Fourth foul on Edwards. To shoot. Hare trying to wiggle free and draws a foul. These will be the first free throw attempts of the game for Marquette, and they come with under 6 minutes to play.
And there's been some nice moments for the freshman Mackenzie Hare in this game. She's up to 9 points, has knocked down 3 triples, nice ball handling skills, some excitement there for Megan Duffy with the young core she has.
Now this will be the 2nd straight year that Marquette falls to UConn in the semifinal. But they've had a valiant effort. They beat this UConn team for the first time in program history a little over a month ago. And as we were talking about earlier, Kim, I think that win, for me anyway, solidified that this team deserves to be in the big dance. Rebound Edwards, 18 points, along with 12 boards.
And watching Aaliyah Edwards the last 2 nights, what impresses me is how she continues. Okay, I was going to say go up for boards, but she's going up for another bucket. It's been lopsided scoreboard in both of her games in this tournament, but she goes after every rebound like her team is down 10, and their success depends on her grabbing each individual board. Lindsay Hare, we mentioned the talented freshman. That's her 4th triple, a silver lining for this Marquette team this afternoon.
Betancourt now on the floor for the first time today for UConn. Wearing number 21 as Griffin goes underneath and reverses it off the glass.
I haven't seen every UConn game this season, but it seems like a couple players are having their best games of the season. Gina already mentioned Uhas. This has been fantastic for Edwards. Griffin has been incredibly impressive.
Griffin has 11 points. She's been held to single digits in 5 of the last 6. Everybody clicking tonight for the Huskies with a spot in the final on the line. They're 4 minutes and 20 seconds away from another trip to the Big East Tournament Championship. UConn looks best in class today, and you get a look there at their tournament resume. This is a team that at times this year has struggled, but they've still looked also at times, Kim, like a team that could make a run to the Final Four.
I think if they go on and win this tournament, they could have a case to bump back up to the 2 line. Now looking at Marquette, a projected 11 seed from Autumn, I think this is a team that deserves to be in the tournament. Top 5 strength of schedule, or sorry, top 40 strength of schedule, top 40 net. The win over UConn going back early in the season, defeated Texas, who was 3rd at the time, nearly won that Battle for Atlantis tournament.
Marquette narrowly missed the NCAA tournament last year, and they had a case for it last year. They went 23-11, 13-7, and instead made a run to the WNIT Sweet 16. Looking to get to their first NCAA tournament since the 2020-21 season. King a little bit hobbly. La Chapelle will come on for King. All Big East first teamer frustrated, as so many Marquette Golden Eagles have been this afternoon, by this swarming UConn defense. Just 2 of 15 King today. Easy Fudd just inside the 3-point arc. La Chapelle answers with a 3. She's going to be a really good player. They're excited about her in Milwaukee. La Chapelle, one of a couple of freshmen getting lots of minutes this year for Megan Duffy. So UConn will look ahead, Kim, to the tournament final. We don't know yet who they'll play, but it'll either be Creighton or Villanova. That game is coming up next. Why should fans tune in to our second semifinal?
Really talented offensive teams. Efficient. Creighton, some of the best 3-point shooters. Missed layup.
Betancourt steals it right back.
They should tune in, because we're going to have a lot of 3-point shooting. We're going to have the nation's leading scorer, Maddie Siegrist, 2 phenomenal coaches. I'm ready for it.
Villanova played some tight games with UConn during the regular season. So did Creighton. In fact, in the last meeting between UConn and Creighton, it was a 3-point game, with UConn edging the Jays. Yeah,
there certainly was a little bit of a controversy at the ending up there on that road game for Creighton. Probably Creighton could have easily won that game. Big applause for Dorka Uhas from the Husky faithful. What an afternoon for her.
14 points, 11 rebounds. You heard Gino Auriemma at the halftime break talking with our Megan Caffrey. He said the first half is probably the best half of basketball I've seen Dorka play in a UConn uniform.
I'm interested to hear his thoughts after this game. As you and I have been talking about, I mean, to me, this looks like the best UConn has played since early in the non-conference when they were beating Texas, beating NC State. They had the full compilation of players. They've just looked so on point today.
Betancourt from downtown.
How about the bench? Pretty crazy to think that AZ Fudd is running with the reserve groups right now.
Got to get her a little extra clock, right? Get her feet under her. Playing in just her second game since January the 15th. We've talked a good amount about UConn's defense in this game, holding Marquette to less than 50 points with a minute and change to go. But how about offensively, Kim? Last time Marquette gave up 80 points or more, they've done it just once. And that was, they've done it just once in the last couple of months. That was all the way back in December against Seton Hall.
Yeah, UConn has just been on the attack. They've gotten the balance inside out. Today they just look like a team with the mental fortitude that this is March. We've been here before. We know what it takes to win. We know the level of focus and attention to detail it takes to be successful at this time of year. That's the type of team I've seen this afternoon.
Marquette has held 7 of its last 8 opponents under 60. UConn was there after 3 quarters. They have clicked in a way that we haven't seen Gino Auriemma's team click, at least in the last month. Had a really hard-fought battle against the top-ranked South Carolina Gamecocks, still undefeated. You could look to that game and say, well, UConn had chances to win in that game, and many UConn fans feel like they probably should have, as Carlin buries a 3. But when this team's playing well, they've shown they can compete with the best in the country.
Yeah, today I'm seeing a team that, why can't this team go back to the Final Four, the national championship game? Maybe win it.
For UConn. Something that has been done just once against this Marquette team in the last couple of months. DePaul scored 80 in the regular season finale. You got to go all the way back to the beginning of December when Seton Hall did it. And UConn is headed back to the Big East tournament final. Consecutive conference tournament wins for the UConn Huskies. And they are headed to their 12th straight tournament championship game.
And what an impressive, well-rounded performance. 5 different players in double figures for the Huskies, led by another double-double from Aaliyah Edwards, 20 and 12. The defense was on point, holding Marquette to 30% shooting, really limiting the Golden Eagles star players. Very, very impressed by the full complement, the arsenal we've seen from UConn this afternoon.
Megan Caffrey standing by with Gino Auriemma.
Thanks so much, Matt. Coach, you had really high praises for your team at half. How do you assess the performance of your team as a whole tonight?
Well, I think it was, the final score was somewhat unexpected, you know, but I thought we played a flawless game, you know. I thought our defense was absolutely relentless the entire game, and the last couple days of practice, and we're starting to get into a little bit of a flow offensively as well. But it all starts down at the defensive end, and we said it. I said Dorka and Aaliyah were going to have to come up really big, and Aubrey. I said the three of them were going to have to come up really big today, and they did. And I thought they dominated the game from the beginning of the game to the end, and I couldn't be prouder of them. You know, it's considering where we've been and what we've done to be here, sitting here right now, and looking at playing championship game tomorrow. It's pretty remarkable.
We're going to talk to Aaliyah in just a second. How was she an edge for your team tonight?
Well, I think you see when she's working at the defensive end, and she's physical in the lane, and it carries over to the offensive part, and then she just plays with so much confidence. There's a couple things that she does that make you shake your head, and there's an intensity level to her that when she has that, she's as good as any player in the country at her position.
Thank you so much, Coach.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
19 straight Big East Tournament championship games. That is what UConn has just achieved.
Has Gino Auriemma ever used the word flawless? Sure. Flawless to describe his team? I really don't think so. What a high praise.
And Megan Caffrey is now standing by with Aaliyah Edwards.
Thanks, Matt. Aaliyah, your coach just said that the performance your team put together tonight was flawless.
Oh, wow. Flawless? That's the word he used?
That came out of his mouth.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
How was your team locked in on all cylinders?
I think that we were just so disciplined today. We had to be disciplined on defense for sure, and then offensively, everything flowed, and everyone was putting up their shots, which was great for us.
For you personally, Coach Auriemma talked to us about how he's challenged you to be more aggressive. He said that's your edge. How did you assert that dominance tonight?
Hey, I just had to stay competitive. I had to be competitive for myself and for my teammates to get the extra boards, extra possessions on the rebound, and then knocking in when I can.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Aaliyah. This is a UConn team that has played in every Big East Tournament championship game since 2005. They have just won their 29th consecutive conference tournament game by a score of 81-52. We will get you set up for our second semifinal after this. All UConn headed to the championship tomorrow night.